about loan fee. Okay, then the next I'm going to be talking about is the swap deals. Okay, the swap deals, this is a situation whereby two clubs agrees to exchange players. Sometimes this is a straight swap, but more often it involves one player moving plus a cash sum paid by one of the club to balance the difference in value. Okay, what is he talking about? So let's use Aiden Heaven in Manchester United and Buddy Shield in Chelsea. Okay, these two players, let me just say, for example, that they have Buddy Shield transfer market value is 25 million pounds, and Aiden Heaven transfer value is actually 35 million pounds. Okay, and Chelsea want to do a swap deal with Man U to take Aiden Heaven and give Manchester United Buddy Shield. Okay, and both club agrees, but Manchester United might say, okay, because our player actually have a higher transfer value, like the higher market value, you have to give me Buddy Shield and take Aiden Heaven, but you still pay me 10 million pounds to be able to balance the valuation of both players. This is when cash is actually involved. But only when swap deal can happen when there is no cash involved is when the two players actually have almost the same transfer value, and also the two clubs agrees to swap that player without taking any fee involved. This is where swap deals can actually happen without any transfer fee attached. Okay, so the next thing here is pre-contract agreement. That's the next thing I'm going to be talking about. And pre-contract agreements, pre-contract agreements, this happens when a club may sign a player to a new contract while they are still under contract with another team. This is commonly used in conjunction with a free transfer, allowing a player to sign with a new team up to 6 months before their current contract. Football allows pre-contract whenever the player is left with 6 months contract, like 6 months for his or her contract to expire. Okay, football allows what we call a pre-contract because that particular player, especially when it's a mature player from 23 years and above, most times they have the right to sign a pre-contract with another club. Let me just use, for example, Bruno Fernandes is in Manchester United. As he's playing for Manchester United currently, and he has 6 months left in his contract. Okay, after that 6 months, like before that 6 months elapse, you actually have the right to actually sign a pre-contract with Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia to play for them in the next season. Okay, football allows that. That is what we call pre-contract. But he's still on a contract with Manchester United, but he has the right to sign a pre-contract at that moment because he's just 6 months left on his contract. Okay, that is about pre-contract. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is transfer via buyout/release clause. Okay, many contracts includes a release clause which stipulates a set price, often very high, that another club must pay to immediately trigger a transfer without the selling club being able to refuse it. There's something that football allows. Okay, there's a particular fee in every player. It is in every player that they have a release clause. This release clause can only happen when the player itself, first of all, the player itself will be willing to move to that club. That's the only thing that can stop a release clause, is when the player now refuses to go to that club that triggers his or her release clause. Okay, for example, now that let me use let me use Dembele in PSG. For example, now Real Madrid wants to buy Dembele, and Dembele's release clause is 100 million euros. Okay, and Real Madrid is ready to trigger Dembele's 100 million euros, and also Dembele wants to come to Real Madrid. In as much as PSG might not want to sell Dembele, but as far as Dembele deep down wants to go to Real Madrid and Real Madrid pays that 100 million to PSG, it automatically, PSG don't have any right to stop that transfer. They don't have any right to stop that move. Only the person that have the right to stop that move is the player himself. He's the only one that have the right to stop that move, because in every transfer, every player have their own decision making to do. Okay, it's only the player that have the right to stop or make that move. Okay, maybe Dembele can say, okay, no, I'm very loyal to PSG, I don't want to go. Okay, that's only when the transfer will not happen. But if the player wants to go to Real Madrid, that transfer is happening. Like that's why, like I said initially, every particular player have the price attached to them that you call the release clause fee. If any club pays that amount, that player automatically becomes theirs. Okay. Then the next I'm going to be talking about is the buyback clause. Okay, let's go. The buyback clause is when you're selling a player. Like a club may include a clause that gives them the option to repurchase the player in the future at a preset price. Okay, let me just use an example that many of you know. But if you don't know this is a current, like a very, very realistic example. The like of what's his name, Nico Paz at Como. Real Madrid sold Nico Paz to Como, like, and they attached a buyback clause. They split it for 3 seasons. If they are to trigger the buyback clause in the first season, they are paying just 7 million euros. If they are triggering the buyback clause in the second season, that's they are paying 8 million euros. Then if they are triggering the buyback clause in the third season, they are paying 9 million euros. Okay, this means that Real Madrid have the right to actually buy that player at the amount they have set. Like they agree with the club that this will be our buyback clause for this player. This buyback clause mostly happen whenever a player has a potential but doesn't have the current form, and also doesn't have the current ability to actually feature in the team's first team, like in a team's first team selection or first team player among first team players. Okay, because of maybe the club has surplus talent, okay, and they know that player has potential to be world class tomorrow. They'll just sell the player to another club, but including a buyback clause to his or her transfer, meaning that anytime they want, but it's not really anytime because every buyback clause has expiring date. So before that expiring date of a buyback clause, they have the right to actually trigger that buyback clause and now pay that some certain fee that is agreed between the two clubs. That is what buyback clause is all about. Okay, the next thing here is okay, I think I'm done with the types of transfer. So I know that you people learned a lot of things today, because a lot of things that I actually explained today, many of you there don't know about it, and I know with this video you have learned a lot of things. So please like this video, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, follow me if you're watching on Facebook, follow me if you're watching on Instagram. Please leave a comment. I want to see your comments. I want to hear your thoughts, and I also want you to ask me further questions in case if you don't understand anything that I said. I want you to ask me questions so that I can actually be able to reply you and also clarify some certain things to you in case if you don't understand any part. So thank you so much guys for sticking around to watch this video to the end. I really appreciate that. See you guys on my next video. Bye.